coming to you from deep beneath the murky waters that lie beyond the Lake Erie shoreline. This is the Cleveland Podcast! With Fred the Mud Monster and South Bay Caesar. Find us online at facebook.com/The Cleveland Podcast or email us at theclevelandpodcast@gmail.com. Now, join us as we journey through Northeast Ohio and the city of Cleveland.
Welcome to the Cleveland Podcast. I changed my voice for season 2. It's much deeper and sexier.
And we're going to venture back into ASMR. Everybody's going to use their ASMR voices today.
Everyone use their church voices because we're in a library.
Shh, hush.
Last time we were here was the Meredith episode. And at the end of our time here, they said, you could try to find another place next time. And when I called to see if they'd let us back in, they said, there's a quiet study room right next door, right? It's probably not the best place to record a podcast. And I'm like, well, are you telling us we can't? She says, no, you're making the decision. And I'm like, well, if you're not telling us we can't, then I'm going to sign up. We're going to record there.
And as long as no one's next door,
we'll be fine. So we'll just talk in our ASMR voices this entire episode.
But you might put us to sleep.
Maybe. But speaking of which, we have two very interesting guests today, Matt and Stefanie Verish.
Thank you.
Yes.
Again, those right. So welcome to the podcast. Welcome.
Thank you.
This is the first time we have two guests on at the same time. So season 2, new big things.
New adventures. So far, so good.
So far, so good. So tell us about yourselves a little bit.
You want to go first, my love?
No, but
No.
yeah.
Ladies first.
I'm a naturalist and an artist and a landscaper, and sometimes I do some writing in my spare time. And I married somebody who also writes, and that would be Matt.
Who's this other person you married?
I said your name.
Oh, me. Oh, okay. I'm a writer. That's correct. I forgot.
Every now and then.
I'm not nearly as interesting as my wife, who does the art and the writing, and she's got a green thumb.
I wouldn't say that. Yeah. I just said I do landscape.
It's a light green, but she does pretty good.
Pale.
Does pretty well. Yeah. But I am a driver by day and sometimes a writer by night, and also avid video gamer.
Interesting. So that's all pretty interesting. So then it says we have some notes here that said that they said that you're destined for marriage because you could write together without trying to kill each other.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yes.
But that doesn't include how many revisions we've made over the years.
Oh, the revisions, yes.
Yeah.
I can only imagine. So today we're covering the art of penmanship in Cleveland, or basically how to be an author, the art of being an author and the experience of being an author in Cleveland, as well as a couple of bookstores to find your favorite books around the Cleveland area. So let's begin with a couple of questions. First, you have a company or website called Night Apple, correct?
That's correct.
And tell us about it.
Night Apple, it is, I guess I would say, an inside joke for us. Something that we had in one of our books. A character finds the magic apple.
The source of immortality kind of thing. But
this one's kind of sinister, though, as some witches are growing it for themselves. And I don't know, it's something that stuck with us, and we decided to make that our LLC, actually.
That and no one else had taken that name.
Yeah.
Right.
So it worked out.
That's pretty good, though, because if someone just puts an apple, they'll find probably the Night Apple.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what's this other one?
Yeah, and
it's a creative LLC, so basically it encompasses any of the artwork I do, but the books that we've published and short stories that Matt's been in,
and soon to be videos, and who knows down the road,
all types of other wonderful things. So then, how long have you had Night Apple LLC?
I think it was 2008 or 9. We did it, right?
You have a better memory than I do.
Yeah, a little over 10 years ago.
How's it changed you? Has it really altered your life? Has it, what changes have happened as a result of Night Apple?
Well, if we get sued now, they can't take our home from us.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a good plan to have. But also, it's a supplementary income, and while
Absolutely.
it may not be much, it has allowed us to pursue our hobbies a bit more, and I would say that's pretty good creatively.
Though it has been a few good years of good income.
Oh, it's great. That's fantastic. So then what got you guys into the world of being authors?
I was bored at college.
It is, yeah.
Fair enough.
To do, and
Yeah.
we started writing back and forth. That long distance relationship is kind of a funky thing. So,
This is 1998, by the way.
yeah, I was terrible writer. But
Me too. Oh, yeah.
But he killed my characters. I killed his characters.
I changed their names in the middle of the story because I'm stupid.
No, it was fun. It was good. That's how we got into it, though.
Yeah, it took a couple tries. I think it was in 1999 going into 2000. We tried it again. And then it grew from there, and we stuck with it. And that's where our fantasy series grew from there. And that's over 20 years of writing in the same world.
20 years. Geez, that is a lot. We'll eventually get to the books eventually, but I have some other getting a little bit broader here. Are you guys originally from the Cleveland area?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, darn. I think
Always Cleveland.
I had a backup question ready to go. I was like, if not, where? And then we could have made that transition. But of course, it's lovely that you're from the Cleveland area. Where exactly?
Well, I grew up in Old Brooklyn and Parma area.
Why there's so many kittens in the city
Yeah.
in Old Brooklyn?
Where did you grow up in specifically?
Oh, it was right in the outskirts of Burger Avenue, rather.
Oh, okay. Is that?
It's off
It's
of.
like
It's in
in
between Ridge and State, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I grew up in Valley View. So.
Oh, okay. Wait, we recently saw Star Wars over there.
Oh yeah.
Cinemark,
the
right?
Cinemark, yeah.
Oh, yeah, the Cinemark. That was an interesting experience. Season I had some very interesting takes on the Star Wars series, and thought that we could have been the directors for it.
How did you
Yes.
feel about the last Star Wars? Have you watched
Oh,
it?
you opened a can of
Oh,
worms.
no.
I was not a fan, but I was not a fan of the previous installment either.
Ah, okay. Like the prequels or like the previous two in the.
Episode 8 and 9.
yeah.
So, but I have a lot to say about all of them, but that would take the whole time.
He's said it many times on while
She's
walking
tired.
the dogs, and I could probably recite exactly what he would say.
It seems like a favorite America pastime is baseball and then ranting about Star Wars, whether
Yes.
you're a fan or an opponent. Or not even opponent, but a critic.
I just feel like it was very safe.
Oh, it was.
Yes.
Oh yes,
I thought that, we can't spoil too much, but there was the potential. They blew a huge chance for there to have been a more exciting sequel for an episode
Right.
10, 11, and 12. That would have been way more exciting than these previous three.
I agree.
Well, again, it's the Star Wars franchise, it's Disney, but apparently the TV show's doing pretty well. The Mandalorian, that apparently has an edge to it, which I'm surprised given it's Disney. I'm like, wow, you really get into adult content for a kids company.
I haven't seen The Mandalorian yet. Somebody made a suggestion that once this season is over, you can do the 1 week free trial and just watch all of it in the week and then cancel your free trial.
Oh, and they're like 35-minute episodes, too.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
you'll
that's-
blow through it.
You could literally go through probably a day. Because how many episodes are there?
8.
Oh, so you can go through it in one day, like on a weekend.
Easy.
But you've seen them all?
Yes, we
Yes.
have.
Yep.
We like it. It's not as edgy as they would make you think from the trailer. It's pretty safe, but it's good.
Oh,
But it
okay.
actually
Good.
is really fun.
Okay, because from the trailers, I'm like, ooh, I know it's not like super dark, but, I'm like, ooh, that's kind of got a Revenge of the Sith type of vibe. Everything kind of gets dark and falls apart.
It has a couple moments like that, but it feels more like episode 4 feel of Star Wars.
Ah, okay. Well, then that's probably a pretty good thing then. That's a lot of hype for it. That's pretty good. But then, of course, we're here to talk about books, though. We're not here to talk about movies.
That's okay.
But obviously, you two are authors, and you guys met together. You apparently kept killing each other's characters off since 1988, 1989.
98.
98, excuse me.
Yeah.
That's okay.
So then how did you two meet? How did the two romantic pens come together?
It was
6 hour.
art class,
Art class.
on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It was my first year at Tri-C, actually, and I had decided I almost, I think it was not take it or drop it. One of us almost didn't take the class.
It was you. I had to take it. I was doing post-secondary.
I thought about not
enrollment.
taking it because who wants to go to school on Saturday for 6 hours? But we both like to do art, and mind you, she's 2 years younger than me, and it was my first year of college. So she was in 11th grade, and I met her in college.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, this creepy guy kept hanging over my artwork, and I couldn't figure out what he wanted.
I didn't know she was 16 in college.
Yeah, it's all right.
But yeah, that's what I like to do is I would do art. I like to go around the room and see what everyone else is doing. And she was cute, so I kept hovering around her.
And then that rainy day, and he's like, he pulls up in his car, and I'm waiting for my dad to go down like the sneaky drive where you don't have to pay the money to go in. To pick me up.
50 cents.
And then he pulls up. He's like, you want to sit in the car while, it's raining out? And I'm like, oh boy.
Thank God this turned out to be a marriage, because the beginning of it sounds like something else.
This was 1997. It's not the Me Too movement yet.
It was a different time.
It was a different time.
Yeah, I think I remember I think I probably told the story already, but when my mom and dad met, my dad met my mom when she broke up, when my mom was having an argument with her ex.
Oh, boy.
And so he thought, what a little, well, not like that, but it pretty much was like, yeah, I don't like her. And then she picked it, and then it wound up that he had the opportunity to be, he had the opportunity to work for my mom in terms of being an RA. And she was like a position above, which I can't remember exactly the name of it. I think it's called an area director. And she chose someone else because of that argument, and he totally regretted it. And then he went back to my mother like, you got to help me. I'm losing my mind. And so they began to, chat for hours and hours on end. Then one day, my dad asked, do you want to get dinner? And she's like, sure. And then he's like, I'm going to cook this wonderful dinner. And then he didn't quite get to it, but he did have dinner ready. And so my mother walks in and says, I don't smell anything. And he says, well, I did get dinner. And so he pulls out McDonald's from the oven.
Nice.
And so that is the beginning of a 30-year relationship. That includes me.
Wow.
I always treat women really well on dates. I always let them supersize.
Oh, man. Oh.
But I feel like things that used to be romantic are now considered creepy.
Yeah, I
Right?
think it's like, take for instance, like the like that one thing about the Christmas song.
Right. Oh, that's the perfect
Baby's
example.
Cola Side.
Yeah.
That was that was made by I learned this from my mother that this was made. That song was made by a married couple.
No, I did not.
No.
Yeah, they were married, and so my mother's like, that's actually about a woman that kind of like overcomes the temptation of the man trying to bring her back inside, right? And so that's it's like a wholly different interpretation. And so it's kind of interesting that at least locally here, there was that uproar about it, but
Yes.
again, I guess it's warranted. When you hear lyrics, you're like, oh, it's a little bit. You could have maybe penned it a little bit better. They're not exactly, they're not exactly the Beatles when it comes to his songwriting. If they're just like that, it might have been able to get away with it.
There was who was it that just remade the song with different lyrics for today's generation?
Really bad lyrics, right?
Yeah, really bad lyric. I can't think of his name.
I don't get that because, when I was watching Camp Kids, they were singing that Voulez-vous coucher avec moi ce soir. I'm like, do they know what they're saying? Because I think that'd be a little controversial right there.
Yeah, right. It would be.
Okay, that's okay. Whatever.
That's all pretty interesting. So then,
But what does itchy kitchy yaya da da mean?
I can't translate that for you right now.
Oh, no.
well, who knows what it might be? But it doesn't sound so great.
Someone had an itch. I don't know.
I'll Google it later.
Itchy cat. So then, actually, speaking of Cleveland and various different things we're trying to translate and pronounce, I do believe that Caesar might have some questions about how to pronounce certain things.
All right. So this podcast is mostly for people who are from out of town or who are visiting or things like that. And when I first moved to the city, I had a hard time understanding how some of the local words were pronounced. And you get around town, so you probably are familiar with these things. So either of you can answer. I'm going to spell the names of these places, and I want you guys to pronounce them.
Okay.
Yeah.
This road in the Cleveland suburb of Brooklyn, T-I-E-D-E-M-A-N.
You're spelling it wrong.
Yeah.
Tiedemann.
Tiedemann.
Tiedemann. I thought it'd been Tiedemann.
This suburb in the Snowbelt, just northeast of Cleveland, M-E-N-T-O-R.
Manaway.
No.
M-E-N-T-O-R.
Mentor.
I heard Manaway in my head.
Let me say it.
Everybody likes
Menor.
Everyone likes to mess that one up. That's why I jumped on it. Yeah,
It's okay. Menor.
Yeah, not mentor. It's menor.
Oh, thank God I learned about that one. Someone from Menor was like, no, it's Menor. And I'm like, no, it's Mentor. It's like, I live there. Really? I was like, I was being such an idiot.
I would prefer to be mentor, but it's menor.
It's cold up there.
It is cold and kind of isolated, I guess. I mean, kind of. I mean, it's kind of far away from everything else, isn't it?
Everything is far away from everything around here.
That's true.
Okay, this county, just to the east of Cleveland, Geauga.
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 I thought like Yaga or something.
And of course, the county that we live in, where Cleveland is.
Oh, Cuyahoga. Or Cuyahoga, some people say.
Cuyahoga. I went to Cuyahoga.
Or as, what is it, Family Guy, I've heard like something like Cuyahoga.
No, don't go there. Don't do
gosh.
that. It's about where you
I
put
think-
the emphasis on the syllable.
Yeah. I think Cuyahoga is what most people say.
Yeah.
I have a friend who says, I'm a hog, not a hoe. So I've heard people pronounce it Cuyahoga.
That's
Cuyahoga.
that's
And-
how I would.
And it's, say it how you say it?
Cuyahoga.
Okay.
Yeah, just because you grew up in, you went to school at Cuyahoga Heights. That's how everybody says that there. It's weird.
You're giving away my identity.
Oops.
Okay, and for bonus points, we're not completely done, but for bonus points, can you name all of the counties adjacent to Cuyahoga County?
No.
I can try. Hold on. Hold on. What, Geauga County? Isn't that one?
That's one.
South.
Summit.
Summit, thank you. And then Lorraine.
Right?
There's more?
Three more.
Three more. Okay.
That's a lot.
Is there Portage? Is Portage one?
Yes, it is.
Wait, where was Portage?
We just talked about one of the cities.
I'll slide out my phone real quick.
It's cold there.
Don't do it.
It's very cold there.
Oh, yeah.
Menor.
Yeah. Mentor.
But what's the name of the county?
That's,
Lake?
yeah.
It is Lake.
Yes.
And there's
right.
one last one to the southwest.
West. I don't know that one.
Medina.
Medina County.
County, yeah.
Your cousin's going to kick your butt.
He doesn't live there anymore.
Oh, he used to.
And I've got one last pronunciation.
Oh.
This village in Portage County. Mantua.
There you go.
And now I can say Manaway because I apparently could not listen earlier.
Indeed, what that's just so odd that I knew some of those pronunciations, but I didn't quite know all the Manaway. I've never even been there.
Confession, I only learned how to say Manaway correctly like a few years ago. I looked at it and I said, oh, Mantua.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy.
Right. I remember when I first came here, and I remember looking at Medina, and I'm like, that's Medina, like the Arabic city. And I'm like, man, like, was that founded by the Prophet Muhammad? And, of course, everyone's like, who's that? And I'm like, oh, man.
Or Funky Cold Medina.
Yeah,
Funky
right.
Medina.
But I did have some context as I was studying up for this episode. Manaway is actually a city in Italy,
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
which gives it some context to why it sounds so wrong. It's a foreign language.
Right. But isn't it also Ravenna,
Ravenna.
Ohio?
Yeah, that's another one.
So, that's another big, I think I can't remember if Italy rebranded the city name, but I know it was one of the biggest cities in the Roman Empire, just because, history nerd. All these, that's why I thought Medina, or, when I first thought of Medina, I thought Medina, because I'm like, well, it's got to be named after the Prophet Muhammad, who, had an important impact on the city of Medina. But everyone's like, no, it's Medina. And I just go, this is just so boring. You just call it Medina. You just butchered it. Everyone goes, why do we want to be named after why do we want to have the same pronunciation as the city in Saudi Arabia? I'm like, because it sounds better and it has a cool historical connection. But cities have always weird names. Like, for instance, there's a certain town in Connecticut that is spelled Mianus. I can't say it quite here, but it's exactly as it spells and sounds.
It's not Mianos.
I'm afraid not. Yeah, I think everyone in that town feels very unfortunate because we drive through it sometimes when visiting relatives in New England. We go, "Welcome to my." It's just, it's indeed a mess.
Again, since we are a podcast for people who are visiting the city or new to the city, are there any favorite restaurants that you guys have in Northeast Ohio that you would recommend to somebody or anybody who may live here, have lived here?
Oh boy,
We're probably the worst people to ask that question.
All right, then let's move on.
But I will say, back in the day, we would have told you Steak and Shake because,
but they're all gone.
They're all gone now.
Are they really?
Almost every one of them's closed down.
Like nationally or just in the city?
Basically nationally. I think there's 10% are open.
Oh, really?
Nationwide. There's 2 in Northeast Ohio are still open.
Only 2.
Yeah, I think the one in Parma, by Parmatown is, and I don't know where else.
Yeah.
That was our place.
I was at the Steak and Shake in Columbus, Easton Center. Yeah, I don't know if you guys know where that is. It doesn't matter. But we were there, and this guy got angry at the people behind the counter. He started throwing ketchup bottles down on the ground and smashing them all over the floor. And we were looking for an exit plan. And I was thinking, oh man, this guy's going to pull out again and blow everybody away.
Wow.
That was my shake and steak experience.
Wow. Maybe that's why they closed nationally.
Because that one guy just went from store to store breaking ketchup bottles.
It's like, not again, Earl. I can't believe you're back here again. I hate ketchup. What if he has ketchup phobia? Or maybe it's ketchup philia. So you go, these ketchups can't.
Don't feel the ketchup.
It's like, these ketchups are being trapped inside. They must be set free. Be free, my lovelies.
Okay, one more thing.
Yeah.
Your profiles on your website say that you are nature lovers.
Yes.
What are some great places to visit? Like some parks or...
I'm highly biased. I mean,
yes.
I would say my favorite reservations in Cleveland Metro Parks would be Bedford Reservation and South Chagrin Reservation.
What do you like about those?
They're a little bit more off the beaten path. They have some rugged trails that I'm not going to say they're never traveled, but certainly there's some rare plants and nice cliffs and things that you can visit, and it's very scenic. Yeah,
nice. That east side has a different kind of topography, and it's really a lot of valleys and rivers and. Yes. Lots of rocks.
Yes. Yeah. There's one, Sulphur Springs. It smells like rotting eggs if you catch it, in the right, in the right wind. But it's kind of, a lot of things like that.
That sounds like you're looking for a comet. If you catch it at the right time, you'll see the comet. I don't think we're trying to look for sulfuric smell. I think that's, there are probably some people who are into it.
Right. They go down there to the park and they're like, oh, yes.
Serene. Beautiful, tranquil, the smell of rotten eggs, just like my childhood.
Where is the place we like to take the 3-mile hike?
Hinckley. We've gone to Hinckley.
I like going to Hinckley a lot.
Yeah.
And where's Hinckley? Exactly?
South
Hinckley Reservation, right?
Southwestish.
Yeah, that's about...
It's near where 271 and 71 come together, right?
Yeah, and a big lake there in the middle. You can hike all the way around it. Very nice.
Yes.
Especially in the fall.
Definitely. All right, let's... take a break.
Sure. Off to break time we go.
All right. Welcome to Meditation Minute. Close your eyes. Take deep, long breaths. Breathe in. Breathe out. Imagine yourself at sea. There's a full moon. You hear a whale. You go to your safe space, your happy place. And that place is the Cleveland Podcast. Imagine liking and sharing us on Facebook. Imagine downloading all of our episodes at theclevelandpodcast.com. You are happy. You are one with the community. You are Cleveland, and Cleveland is you.
are back.
We're back at the library.
All right, we're here for part 2. Again, back here with Matt and Stefanie Verish. We're going to talk about now the actual topic of today, which is books. So let's first talk about bookstores. That's something that people love to go to bookstores, even though most people go to Amazon.
Yes.
They still like that book smell, I suppose, right?
There used to be so many more.
Yeah, a few of them closed down. I think the first one I would recommend personally is Loganberry, a bookstore in Shaker Heights.
Loganberry on, was it 13015 Larchmere?
Larchmere, that's right.
That's actually one of those other Cleveland terms I kept messing up because I keep saying Lockmere because we have Lock Raven in Baltimore, and I kept thinking lock like a lock.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so every time like Lockmere, it's like, no, it's Larchmere. I'm like, no. So it's on, again, it's 13015 Larchmere Boulevard in Shaker Heights, Ohio. Loganberry Books is an independently owned and operated bookstore in the historic Larchmere neighborhood of Cleveland, Ohio. Established in 1994, they feature a carefully curated collection of new, used, and rare books in all genres for both readers and collectors. With an inventory over 100,000 volumes, weekly events, and a gray cat named Otis to greet you.
Oh, I'd go just for the cat.
Of course you would.
Ever since Mittens died.
Poor Mittens.
Died? Oh.
It was a gang fight. He ended up on the short end.
You know, Otis probably was the cat father. So, what makes Loganberry Books a good pick?
I know for us, one lady who works there, her name is Sarah Willis. She's been there a very long time. I wouldn't say she's necessarily a friend of ours, but we met her at an event, and she is an author of some renown, and she doesn't write anymore, but she teaches some classes. And did we ever take a class with her? Do you remember?
Just at the conferences.
But yeah, she was at the conferences, very friendly, very helpful. She's a really nice person to talk there, and it's just a awesome looking bookstore. It's very old fashioned. It's not like the brick and mortar stores you see today. Well, the ones that are left, the big ones that are just a big block, like square. But this one, it's nooks and crannies and levels and places to explore.
And supportive of local authors, which is cool.
And most of them, a lot of the smaller independent stores tend to support, not all do support independent authors.
Are your guys' books in the local stores?
I don't think any of them anymore. I think we tried initially.
Yeah.
Some of them. Early on when we were first just getting out self-publishing in like 2006, we were pushing for that.
They're very kind. I mean, you go and you have your book in your hand and you look like all large-eyed and pathetic and you're like, would you consider? And they're like, well, we work on commission and, you know, so if we sell it, we'll let you know. So they took a copy and, you know.
But you've had a lot more success online.
I'd say 99.999% of our success is online.
The way of things now.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's all digital sales.
You know, you can actually publish your own digital book through Amazon. Is that how you do it?
Yep.
Yes.
That's one
way.
Yeah.
Interesting. Then any other bookstores that you would perhaps recommend?
Well, if Joseph Beth was still around, I would have said yes to them. I don't think we've gone there much, but my cousin who also has a book, Learned Owl, is another one that he recently published something and he sold his book there on a Saturday, I believe.
Interesting. That also comes up on our list.
Because they actually replied to me.
That's right. So for all these other bookstores that didn't reply, just be happy that we're talking about you. Learned Owl Bookshop, 204 North Main Street, Hudson, Ohio. So this is southwest?
It's close to Stowe, right? Which is near Akron?
Yes.
South.
Yeah.
Southeast of the city.
Southeast. Okay. So I got south, but not east.
It's in that urban sprawl area between Akron and Cleveland.
Right. Okay. So Hudson, Ohio, which is located pretty much eastish between Akron and Cleveland. And again, it's on 204 North Main Street, Hudson, Ohio, the Learned Owl Bookshop. The Learned Owl Bookshop has stood as a second home to the residents of Hudson for 51 years.
I think it's Learned.
Learned. Oh, I keep doing that. Oh, no.
I was watching him.
I was like, why are you guys looking at me so funny? Having been around so long, we've earned a place in our community and have strived to connect with our customers. Our caring, attentive, and knowledgeable staff offer an experience you can't get from an online bookstore. always going the extra mile to find the books you love, and we hope to do so for many years to come. That was a description.
And thank you, Learned Owl, for responding to us.
Learned. Learned.
Learned?
Wait. Say it again.
Learned.
Yeah.
Learned.
Subtract 1D.
Learned. Oh.
There's no D there.
Oh, man. Jeez. And this is Fred the Mud Monster, who has now become Fred the Dyslexic Mud Monster. Oh, dear. Any other bookstores that might come into mind?
I have some down here on the list. I personally, we go to half-price books. At least I do. I like to go in there and see what they got.
Half-price books.
I mean, they're a bit of a chain. Why are you laughing at me?
I'm laughing because at one point we gave them a lot of our old
this is
copies
so
of our
embarrassing
books.
what we did there.
And at one point he goes in with some of our old books, and they're like, "Aren't you the author?" And you're trying to.
It was in a mix of other books, and these happened as they were done going through the stack of books. They left our book on top.
You didn't want to throw it away.
yeah.
It was an old version.
Yeah,
I don't
that was
know.
just it. I mean, it was good. It's had old cover. We've changed covers through the years, and there are some updates. And and I'm like, yeah, that's me.
It's okay.
Max backs books on Coventry. Did I tell you I wasn't very good at tongue twisters as a kid? Say that 8 times fast. Max backs books.
You need to get learned.
All right.
Did they change their name?
Learned.
They used to be
Learned.
known. It was
Not learned.
Learned.
Learned. Very good.
Okay.
We got it.
Thank you, teacher. Max backs books on Coventry, 1820 Coventry Road, Cleveland Heights, Ohio. They wrote us back and said, Max Books is a neighborhood bookstore on Coventry Road in Cleveland Heights. We have new and used books and magazines, cards and gift items, and we sponsor several book clubs. We do numerous author events in store and offsite, and our poetry reading series has been ongoing since 1984. We adjoin Tommy's Restaurant, so come for a meal and a bookstore browse. We would love to see you in 2020.
Apparently, being right next door to Tommy's is a big sell for this place. When we had Jacob on last season, that was one of his favorite restaurants, I think. If I
Yeah,
remember
Tommy's with the milkshake. So
Yeah.
you can get your sugar and get your books.
indeed.
And then Apple Tree Books, which is 12419 Cedar Road, Cleveland Heights. Apple Tree Books, an independent bookstore established in 1975, offers an eclectic, well-curated selection of new book titles in multiple genres for both children and adults. The store is located in the Cedar Fairmont neighborhood at 12419 Cedar Road in the historic Heights Center building up the hill from Cleveland's University Circle. They seek to offer books that transport readers to other places, both visually and verbally, and aim to introduce beautifully illustrated and interesting books to their customers. They feature greeting cards, journals, letterpress cards, note cards, in addition to puzzles, bookends, candles, and small gift items in an historic Heights Center building. That's quite the opening statement. Visible Voice Books, set to reopen July 2017, is now 2020. It is an independent bookstore with a community feel, located in the Tremont neighborhood in Cleveland, Ohio, that offer hand-selected new and used books in a variety of topics, with store specialties including fiction, modern poetry, beat and counterculture writers, political and current event writing, art and music books. A uniquely comprehensive and cutting-edge selection of magazines is available, along with cards and library gifts. Out of print, rare, and antiquarian book ordering is also offered. Is that right? Antiquarian?
I think so.
It's right up there with Gemini and Libra.
Next on the list is Horizontal Books. Have you guys been to that one?
I've never even heard of that place, to be honest.
Well, thank God we have good research. 1921 West 25th Street, Ohio City. A place to find new books, new with capital N-E-W, at deeply discounted prices. That is all in lowercase. They are an independent, locally owned and operated bookstore just steps from the West Side Market in the historic Ohio City neighborhood of Cleveland. Then last, but certainly not least, this comes from a Reddit post.
Yeah, I this week I got accused of farming Reddit for content.
Why would that be cute? Why is that so bad for farming for Reddit?
I don't know, Redditor. Have you ever met Redditors? They're weird people.
So wait, so a Redditor said you're farming content for Reddit. So then that's literally saying, hey, you are literally just doing the thing that you're supposed to do.
Right. Does anybody here use Reddit?
I mean,
Very little.
I
I've
read
been
it
there.
sometimes.
I don't think you've been there, have you, babe?
No.
Redditors are a special type of person.
That's what I read.
It's anonymous, so you can be as much of a jerk as you want.
Mhm.
So, yeah, but that was the accusation this week.
But why would they accuse you of that? What makes that so? What makes someone say, you know what, Caesar steals content from Reddit?
I don't know. It just seems like I've been in the music industry too, and it just seems like people really dog each other a lot unnecessarily.
Well, they're trying to get an edge up, right? It's a competitive world.
I guess so, man. I've always been like supportive of other artists. You know, I think that's a good thing. Like we're doing today.
Right.
We are a podcast trying to lift up an author.
Right, exactly.
And all these local bookstores that do a great job.
So I'm going to be very specific about this Reddit post. So thank you to Volcanto.
Right.
So whoever you are, Volcanto, maybe you're a listener, maybe you're not, maybe we'll find you someday. Maybe one of our listeners can find Volcanto and we'll send him a bouquet of flowers. Volcanto said, I had a really great experience at the bookshop in Lakewood. I just moved to this area and was looking for a new place to grab cheap reads. I forget the guy's name, but he was great conversation and knowledgeable. He had good recommendations when asked, and his prices were very fair. I went right as things were getting set up in their new location, and it was still organized very well and put together. Plus, there's a kitty that likes to sleep on top of the bookcases.
And Piper and Sushi replied and said, Hobbs, my favorite cat.
Yeah, so that's the list of various bookstores that we have, and then you said you had a list as well.
I think we've named most we have on here because you also brought up Apple Tree Books. There was two of them I wish were still open, though, like Joseph Beth Booksellers was in Beechwood. That's where we did I think it was the first time we ever spoke publicly.
It was.
Really?
My fourth grade teacher came to see me.
and our family.
It's great.
Are online sales affecting local bookstores? Is that what's happening? Is that why they're going away?
I think it was, Amazon in general, at least initially, was affecting them. But independent bookstores have actually started to thrive again. It's the big brick and mortar stores that have gone away. A lot of the, what is the one that we used to go to a lot?
Oh, well, there was Walden Books, and then there was the other one.
Yeah,
Wow, I haven't heard that name, Walden Books.
Yeah.
Walden Books.
So
yeah.
long ago.
It's been a long time.
I'm assuming it was named after the book, Walden?
Oh.
That is a good question. I do not know the answer.
I'm not sure that would.
Well, that'd be kind of cool, when like they had
What's
a
the
little
book
garden.
Walden? What is the book Walden?
It's Thoreau, I believe.
It's a Thoreau. It's a kind of. It's like a book on. It's a book about. It's this guy who's like kind of has a garden or walks through a garden. It's
writing.
It's kind of like a hey, Joshua-ism kind of sucks, and you can find yourself through nature.
Yes.
It's a romanticism type of thing.
Oh, maybe.
You know, the romanticism era where you have to reconnect with nature.
Or maybe the guy's last name was Walden.
Or maybe I can't even remember. Actually, we should probably look it up just to make sure.
Right, because we've been accused of not knowing what we're talking about.
There was also a Walden software for a while.
Really?
Yeah.
What did it do?
It just sold video games, computer games.
Really?
I worked there for like 3 months back in the late 90s.
So you're a gamer.
Yes.
What kind of games do you like? What are your favorite games?
Oh my gosh. I would say I'm more of an old school retro like platformer, like a 2-dimensional kind of games like a Mario side scroller. It's just where it's at for me. But I'll play just about anything.
Yeah, like the old Nintendo 64 Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, all the oldest games, like from 80s up to the mid 90s.
Yeah.
I kind of stopped there, but even the new stuff, PS4 and Xbox One, I'll play stuff on there as well.
You swear a lot when you play those games.
Yeah, they make me angry.
They make him very angry.
So we kind of got it right about Walden.
Yeah?
It's actually about Thoreau himself.
Okay.
And it says that, this is from Wikipedia, so thank you. Part memoir and part spiritual quest, Walden opens with the announcement that Thoreau spent 2 years at Walden Pond living a simple life without support of any kind. Readers are reminded that at the time of publication, Thoreau is back to living among the civilized again. The book is separated into specific chapters, each of which focuses on specific themes related to his experiences, reflecting on life at Walden Pond. So it's kind of like a garden, but kind of, sort of. It's nature.
Wetland philosophies.
Yes. But now we're talking about Walden and then, other bookstores, right?
Bookstore. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There was another one that was in Peninsula, Ohio. It was, I don't know why I would bring it up, it's closed, but it was Blue Heron, another really small bookstore. From what I remember, was supportive of independent authors as well.
The one in Rocky River.
Rocky River.
Yeah.
Still today?
Yes. Yeah. There's a bookstore, big bookstore, I thought. Was it closed?
Books A Million.
That is it? Yeah.
Yeah, Books A Million's there now.
And then after that, you could go and get some Mitchell's.
Mitchell's ice cream.
Yes, Mitchell's ice cream.
Yeah, it's indeed delicious. I live across from one of those stores. There's a good reason why I've gained weight, but I've actually lost a lot recently.
We should probably do an episode on
Ice cream?
Mitchell's ice cream, and we should probably research it very hard by
Yeah.
visiting every local ice creamery.
Oh, yeah, this is going to be a perfect episode.
Go to the one in Ohio City. You can see how they make everything through the windows.
Oh, really?
Nice.
Interesting. And then, of course, we talk about bookstores, but now we finally get to the books that our wonderful authors have made. So then maybe you can give us a quick run through of some of your favorite books that you have written, and then just talking about the process of writing a book.
Oh, geez. We've written, how many over 10 now, I believe we've written. So initially, we wrote together. It spawned more. I've gone off the area of Stefanie writing the fantasy. I'll write the science fiction and some mystery, but we still create together and do notes and all that and editing as well. Did you want to talk about the fantasy series?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I think, I don't know. I feel like I just have one big, long, extended story to tell. And so that's the fantasy series. And it has been going on between, we had a couple books to start the series, Legend and Curse of the Ravenstone. Those were the first two. And then it launched into the Dark series, the Dark trilogy that follows a couple of the characters, kind of the anti-hero. And now working on, the third segment of those. So, but Matt's a little more versatile. I'll stick with the fantasy, but he's ventured into sci-fi as well as mystery.
Yeah, more of like space opera, I guess.
Space opera?
Yeah, not necessarily like Star Wars, which is more space fantasy. But I really wanted to try something different. It was just actually when I started at my new job, I wanted something totally different. I was done with fantasy for a little bit, other than working with Steph on creating it, and something more that takes place 200 years in the future. It is based in our world, but it's still stuff that could never possibly happen. I wanted to have a character that was like Jack Burton from Big Trouble in Little China, who becomes a space pirate, and how he deals with things like that. And then out of nowhere, I decided I was going to write cozy mysteries, which are like, I guess the best way to explain that is like Agatha Christie kind of mysteries, bloodless, no sex or anything like that, a very, very rated G kind of stuff. I love all the anything mystery. Steph and I watch on PBS. What is the one show?
It's called Mystery.
Yeah, it's just mystery. Yeah, like Sherlock is on there. It started on there. We watched that, and I wanted to try something different, and I based it off of my wife, the main character, who, since she is a naturalist, I wanted a naturalist character, and since I know just from her work in the park system how it all works, I felt I could delve deep into how the ins and outs, the craziness, and the fun things that happen in the park system. And I threw a murder in there.
Oh, interesting. It's kind of interesting that weird side note, my mom loves mystery books.
Oh.
And so she read like a lot of the Nancy Drews and stuff.
Okay.
And I remember that there was she wanted to write this one thing called Murder on the Mekong. So it was this idea of like having like a murder mystery on a cruise ship, cruising on the Mekong in Vietnam. And I remember she said, I have this scene where this woman's going to walk into the shower with all these little extra, I guess you could say little spouts, little spigots, where the water comes off on multiple sides.
Okay.
Yeah.
And instead releases deadly gas. And I'm like, well, geez, Mom, this is pretty violent. I don't know about this.
When I was younger, I wanted to write a fiction book, myself, but I don't have the attention span for it. But mine was going to be about half dinosaur, half anteater.
Oh, I would read that.
But like gigantic anteater who eats people.
Does it star the dinosaur anteater? Or is it that the killer?
It's kind of like I think it was around the Jurassic Park time. It runs like a T-Rex but like has a big snout like Hubert. And it can like blow people out into the sky.
Oh, no.
Suck them in too. It's like suck them in then blow them out.
Oh, wait, but it's an ant. Wait, so does it still eat ants, or is it?
No,
the
it's
humans are the
gigantic.
ants?
The humans are the ants.
Ah, okay. So it's a metaphoric expression. Very deep of you for a young Caesar. You were just a little salad then. Now you're a big salad.
Yes.
Sci-Fi Channel is coming to see you.
Yes.
Can you imagine? Dino Anteater. That'd be the new Sharknado. Oh, gosh. You're acting in there. It's like, no, please don't eat me. No.
They could blow people's clothes off with this.
Are you going to get Tara Reid in there?
Yes.
It's interesting. I, too, had a little bit of a fascination with writing books, but mine are like nonfiction because I'm such a history person that I want to. I had this interest in writing like a book on hip hop history, and then a book on. I'm kind of thinking about maybe writing like a manual or a book for basic public speaking tips. Ooh. And just kind of like just creating something that just kind of gives people a basic rundown of like, hey, like when you're in a situation where you're speaking to your boss or you have a school presentation that, hey, this is some of the tips that can be useful when you are going through that step and process, because I see so many presentations and people they just fall apart even though they have good content. And then you have to tell them why and they go, really? I didn't know that. And of course I'm sitting there like, well, it's common sense. But then I realized it's not so common sense when public speaking is the number one fear in the world. So I thought about creating a book like that. I don't know. But it would be certainly interesting. My dad and I have thought about writing a book together, and we even think about writing an article on giving feedback, since he and I both are so into the business world. So yes, not as exciting as half dinosaur, half anteater, or space opera, which I would love to say. Can I say it's like Phantom of the Astronaut?
Phantom of the Astronaut, sure.
Yeah, so I could become good titles.
Mm-hmm. A lot of the books that you guys write are like trilogies. Is that correct?
It's all set in the same world. So yeah, we have a 2-part and then a trilogy, and working on another trilogy. Yeah.
Mine currently, I forgot to mention it. Is Interstellar Cargo is the series, but yeah, that's a trilogy. There might be more after that. I just haven't decided yet if I'm going to continue. But my mystery series, I have 3 books, ideas in my head. Whether or not it'll be a trilogy, I don't know yet.
So then go through some of the. So then, where did this idea of the trilogy come from for you guys?
The Trinity. I guess I can almost thank Tolkien for that. I think when he was initially writing Lord of the Rings, I know it was actually like 6 or 7 books initially, like shorter books, but it wasn't it the publisher like turned it into like 3.
See, my understanding was we wanted 1 book and it was too thick.
Oh yeah, well initially
so we had to break it in half, and then from there it just kind of evolved into separate ideas.
It was like 900 plus pages, the first book.
Yeah.
Really?
It was very verbose.
When you guys write a trilogy, do you know how it ends? Or do you create it as it goes?
Mostly we know.
Yeah, we know. I mean, the vague idea, outline, sure.
Yeah. That's until I decide I don't like what's going on, and then I erase everything.
Like just happened the other day.
Yeah, it did.
Oh, you guys are in the middle of writing another book.
Oh, there's always something.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
I have 2 right now, actually, and she has 1. So 3 total right now.
Oh, wow. What is the process of being coworkers like? I mean, co-authors.
It has changed over the years, because initially when we first met, it was the whole round robin thing. She was at college and we were doing the email, and I would write some, she would write. It was that way even after she came back home. And it just at some point, and she's going to disagree with me, she's a much better writer than I am, and it was easier that she kept writing a fantasy and we created together. and I went into more of the marketing aspect and creating with her and editing. And then, but I eventually wanted to write again. That's when I did the sci-fi years later.
Interesting.
So I think that just more or less the idea, the brainstorming is where I get excited because, I feel like it kind of grounds the ideas that I get. And otherwise I take them off into directions that get mired or a little too crazy. And of course, it's a double-edged sword because sometimes I bring up an idea and he is a little too realistic about it. He brings the knife and just chops it up and crushes my soul. But then he nurtures it again, and my soul gets rejuvenated, and he helps that. But
she gets her revenge through editing.
Oh, that's true. I do.
Brutal.
Editing is fun, and then that's where I kind of take over.
You are the editor?
Yeah.
One of them,
yeah.
yes. The main editor. And I know they always say, well, it shouldn't be like you shouldn't edit your own work or have like family or friends do it. Well, my wife is, she's cold when it comes to that. She knows to not hold back, and I go directly to her as a result.
She's brutally objective.
Yes.
I like editing this show because I can sound like an idiot the entire time, and Fred can sound amazing, and then I can go edit it so he sounds dumb, and I sound great.
Hey, there's a couple times where I'm like, I did not say that. It's like, hey, you switched our lines. So then, going through the process, obviously being an author in Cleveland, when you began this process of writing these books together, was there someone that did you have like a mentor, not a mentor, a mentor that was like, hey, this is how we do it. This is how this can be done in the city of Cleveland?
I don't think we did. I think this was still a very pioneering time for self-publishing. And so Matt did some of the research, I did some of the research, and we made a lot of mistakes as far as the directions that we went with that. But really, we just kind of felt it out on our own. And
we were pretty much on our own.
Yeah, we grabbed every opportunity we could, though. I think we were even at the IX Center at one point, like, why are we here with Gray Publishing? And we had like a booth and we sat there.
It was the Home and Garden show, mind you.
It was the Home and Garden show. And we were selling fantasy books.
Well, I mean, some people feel like they're cultivating fantasy by growing plants. I think that can work if you connect all the pieces loosely.
Yeah, we did sell 1 or 2 books there, amazingly.
Probably from our parents, maybe.
I don't remember.
I can't.
That was a long time ago.
So then when you go through that, once the process of going through self-publishing, since you said that 99.9% of the sales come from online.
For us, at least, yes.
Where is that process lead to? Because how do you generate those sales for these books?
That is an excellent question because it's difficult you could publish easily and you could put out a beautiful product. It could be edited well and you put it out there, and how does anybody find it?
Yes.
And that is, it's almost like I was telling my wife, I don't know if it makes sense, like the chicken or the egg kind of thing. Like, what do you do first? You need to have reviews. You need to have people interested in order to make any sales. But how do you get those reviews? How do you get people to acknowledge you? And for us, I think since we started out so long ago, we were going to libraries asking to speak, and anybody that would hear us, or any bookstores that would let us put books out there. And through Amazon and some other places like Draft to Digital is another place where you can publish. You could just, by sheer number of books and places being out there, at some point people are going to see it, or if you can discount your book at some point, because ebooks tend to be a lot cheaper than paperback. Like we can put a book down to 99 cents or even free for a little while. And you're making no money, but if you have 7 books after that, you get that first one away, 10,000 copies for free. You hope maybe 1,000 people buy book 2, and so on and so forth. So it's having just one book, you're in a lot of trouble if you're just trying to sell that and nothing else. But that's why a lot of independent authors have dozens and dozens of books and are writing constantly, hoping people will purchase one series or the next one after that.
So then how is someone who's like who is not an independent publisher or independent published author, what is the process for that particular person? Is that so they have like a publishing house that kind of spreads the word?
Like, what was the first one like?
Well, everything. It's just us.
Well, okay. To be fair,
Go
when
ahead.
we first started, who did we go through? That was
It was iUniverse.
iUniverse, because it was so new, and you could purchase certain packages where they would advertise for you, and they would do certain things. And we learned real fast that was like a money trap, and so they evolved into another company, and then eventually, what it comes down to now is you're kind of your own marketer, and you have to be paid advertising and.
Buying your own covers by professionals.
Because the market is so flooded now with...
So you paid for everything?
Essentially, yes. I mean, you could probably put a book out there for like $100 or something, but it's going to be poorly edited, bad cover, and no one's going to touch it. And if it gets right away, they find out, people review and say, this sucks, you're dead. You're never going anywhere. So, but yeah, Stephanie's right. It's you have to spend a lot of money to make money.
Wow, that makes sense.
I mean, we have an ad coming out for my sci-fi series just for the first book. I'm going to promote it through a place called BookBub for it costs like $600 to get an ad, and I'm going to promote it on there, the book to be for free. So I'm going to make literally nothing on it and hope everybody that gets it will go on buy the next book.
Right.
You said $600.
$600.
That's why I'm not allowed to buy any plants for my garden. I get it now.
But you're actually making money from these books.
Yes.
So you're reinvesting.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. We have,
Okay, good.
we have made a fair amount of money. I mean, it's been softer years recently, but we've made in 1 year, a few years ago, over $20,000 just in book sales.
Oh, wow.
Alone. And that was nice. That was a good year.
The difference is we just can't crank them out like some authors do. We put a lot of time and energy in.
Yeah, because we have our day jobs.
Right, of course.
And that,
busy.
Yeah,
You're busy, and then you have other things you're trying to do. So that's very interesting. So then do you feel like that it's probably better to be a self-published author, independent from all the other big publishing houses, or do you feel like, hey, if you're a beginning author, maybe good to publish through Penguin, or is it better as a beginner to just go independent?
I think it depends on. Did you want to say something?
No, it doesn't hurt to try to go traditional. But I think if you want to get it out there and you don't have, time to do all these query letters and looking for, an agent or whatever they require now, I think you just go for it. I would say just go for it. And you have total control, and you just have to put the work in is the only thing.
And through traditional publishers, while they will give you some assistance if you were to like an advance, maybe you'll get like $5,000 advance, but you have to sell a certain amount of copies, or in the end, you're going to buy those back. And as far as promoting, they essentially promote you about as much as you'll have to do yourself. They almost nothing. So unless you're going to get a Stephen King kind of book deal where you're going to get like $1 million up front and they're going to promote it, most authors that go in the traditional or trad route, they call it, don't make a lot of money and end up some of them, even some of the bigger names today, are doing self-publishing on the side because they could put it out, a book that they know probably won't get picked up, but they have their name power to push it as well.
Right.
Since there are so many people that are self-publishing, and the traditional houses out there have actually shrunk down. They are only really pushing the authors that they know are safe. There's not as many new authors, and if they are, they're not as well known. So I think for them, maybe the pattern is just to keep pushing out what works. But they are snatching up the traditional houses are finding some of the very, very successful independent authors and saying, okay, we want you with us so we could say that we've had you all along. You're not really independent now. You're a traditionally published author. And that happened to some of my friends who got snatched up, and now they only write through contracts.
Do you know of any other local authors that you would recommend?
Sure. Actually, I have Steph and I are friends with some of these people, but I could name, I got 8 people I can give you.
Well, perfect. We love lists.
Okay. Here I'll just go in order I have here. I have a friend by the name of Jay Thorne, like the letter J and Thorne. He writes a horror and post-apocalyptic stuff. Vivian Chen, she writes cozy mysteries, and these are all people who live around here. Deanna Adams, she writes nonfiction, but she also works for the Western Reserve Writers Conference. She helps put that on for other authors. We've known her for years. Amanda Flower, another cozy mystery. Yes, I'm bringing up cozy mystery. That's like stuff I was writing. That's how I know them. She is a traditionally a published author who has done exceptionally well for herself. She was a librarian for years, but she has since retired from that just to write full time. I hope I don't say her last name wrong, but Cinda Williams Chima. She writes a YA fantasy or young adult. Carolyn Dubiel or Carrie Dubiel, she's our friend. I don't know if that she has anything much published, but she is a friend of ours who has helped edit our work. She's fantastic. She writes literary fiction. She's also a librarian. She does her own podcast as well. She's a fantastic person. Casey Daniels, that she does mysteries. She's a friend of ours. We met at one of the libraries. She helped us figure out a method of what was it? The one card?
Oh, a plot device to help come up with your plots.
Yeah, but she writes a ton of mystery. She's a very nice person. And I have on here TJ Ski, and my wife will smile at that. That's my cousin who he writes children's. Well, he wrote a children's book, and it's just for around Halloween time, but it did quite well. And those are off the top of my head, and what I wrote down. People around here, some of the local authors, some like Jay Thorne. He is a self-published author, and he will probably stick that way. Some people, once they go that way, that's like their career. Some people kind of bounce back and forth between the two since they can do that. Some people can. We have yet to get picked up.
So I think we only have a few minutes left before we have to be out of here.
Sure.
How many series do you guys have? How many books do you guys have?
Let's see here. Well, with the fantasy series, we're in the middle of creating, and you're writing book 7. That's the third series.
Is it 7?
Yeah, it's book 7.
Oh, yeah, I'm writing 7.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
The Gate of Bones.
I lose track.
It's called. There's 3 different series in there, but it's all one big story. I have the one sci-fi series and the a cozy mystery series.
Right. And where can we find most of these books? On the Night Apple website?
Yes, actually right here. Let me read off the card. It's easier that way. You can find us through Night Apple Creations. That's all one word, .com. And that's just Night Apple Creations. We have all our Facebook and social media through there. But if you're just looking to read about see the maps of our world and all of our information about our books, that's the best way to find us.
So then I guess one last question before we go. If you are a first-time author, is there a particular genre that has a lot of appeal that might be a good start?
You got to look at. I almost kind of want to say you have to look at movie trends. What's in style now, like with action or sometimes it's mystery, sometimes it's fantasy. It kind of goes through cyclical patterns.
It does, yeah. Romance, though, is never not popular.
That's true.
If you want to write romance and kind of, I don't want to say smutty, but some of that kind of sexy kind of stuff, that's very popular.
And self-help.
Self-help is very popular.
So you got to write that book.
Oh,
yes.
I was like, wait, that kind of fits. That fits my thing.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, do it, Fred.
Just real quick, your trilogies that you have, your books that you have. Can you just do like a really quick rundown of what they're about? Ravenstone.
Okay, so Legend and Curse of the Ravenstone follows a non-traditional cast of characters as they're kind of thrown together to. It's kind of an apocalyptic plot line, but nobody knows that they're trying to save the world, and so there's losses and gains. But yeah, that's the very brief plot line of that.
And it takes place in our fictional fantasy world of Sacramore.
Yeah.
Okay. Black Earth trilogy, is that the same world?
Same world, except we take a particular character who is a demon and we give him some trials, and it's the story of an anti-hero as his character develops and tries to survive in a human world.
Silver Sigil? What is that?
That is the first of the new trilogy. So we go back to some of the older characters, but the actual series is called Origins. So we're exploring some of the old myth and folklore of that first world that we created.
All right. And then there's Interstellar Cargo, which is like kind of a different thing, right?
Yeah, that is the space opera. That follows a character by the name of Cole Musgrave, who works for a FedEx-ish kind of delivery company, and but he does it in outer space, and he's not particularly happy, and he gets caught up in some shenanigans with the government when he thinks he's going to be trying some new things, and he unfortunately finds himself caught up in a terrorist plot. That's how he deals with it, and that goes over the course of 3 books.
Nice.
Thank you guys so much. Of course, it was lovely to talk about the art of penmanship, the art of writing very thick, very large novels and books. The point of all this is, if you are a starting novelist, I think, is that even a term? Novelist?
Sure.
If you're a starting author, you can do it however you wish. It may be good to be a self-publisher. Just don't write as much as Tolkien, but make it sound as interesting as Tolkien.
You guys have been great guests today.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you very much.
Later.